Service Alliance community. How y'all doing today? Brother Doug.
I think you must exercise over the weekend. You got a little more energy than is really necessary for a Monday morning.
Yeah, gym was 6 o'clock Saturday morning. So
there you go, huh? That's
still a little sore.
Exciting. Yeah.
Getting back on the grind. Been a couple weeks not at the gym because of builds and being out of town and everything else. Yeah. It's good.
Well, I'm glad I could support you with thoughts.
Thoughts and prayers, buddy. Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
Morning, Gary. Hey, so we're talking about one of your favorite topics today.
Not about being right all the time, or
well, we know Doug is never right, according to Bale.
That's right. If it feels good to say in the time of conflict, don't say it.
Yeah. No, we're talking about taking that customer noise, the customer complaints, and turn it into something good for your company. I like the complaints. I like the noise. I like the problems. Weirdly enough, because it helps you propel your company forward. If all you're getting is 5-star, 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 you don't actually know what the blind spots are. You don't know what you need to improve. And the reality is we're humans and we suck. So there's something wrong somewhere. And if you're filled with 5-star reviews, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. Feedback is very critical. And like you said, if you have no feedback, that means you're irrelevant. So look for it, dig for it. And it hurts too, a couple times when I was a kid, on the playground, you upset the bully or a big tall girl much bigger than me comes up and punches me in the stomach. You remember that feeling, Zach, when you get punched in the stomach? It's all tight. It burns for a second. You feel upset and humiliated. That's what happens when a customer calls us and begins to tear us down, especially with things that are truthful and it really happened, but it stings for a moment. You got to get right back on it and own it and make yourself better.
It does. I've been saying this for years and people disagree with me all the time, but I don't trust an all 5-star company. If all I see is 5-star reviews on your page, I'm finding the next guy. Because there's no growth. If all it is 5-star, either they're paid for or you only ask for the 5-star reviews and somehow, you've filtered out all the other noise, right? I struggle with only 5-star reviews on a company.
I think they do happen from time to time, Zach, but it's like immense follow-up. Like if you were an exotic car company dealership, you're going to follow up 5 times over the next 6 months to a year to make sure that they're happy. You're going to make it really hard for them to complain. But who has that system in place? Not many of us. So you're right. A reality there should be some that filter through for sure. But
yes, sir.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
So we're going to kind of break it down today, how we begin to shift the mindset, how we as leaders take action, and then kind of some steps to make this actually happen so that you can get that good feedback and turn it into something great for your company. So should be a good one. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, the only way to receive feedback in an honest, in real way is through humility. So why don't we pray for that this week?
Let's do it.
Good morning, Lord. You made the universe, the stars and the galaxies. You made this earth and everything in it. Lord, you made science. You made everything perfect in its way. And then the fall of our pride has caused you, Lord, to curse this earth. But thank you, Lord, for your son dying on the cross, coming here to the earth and redeeming us. So, Lord, give us that humble, Christ-like heart. Help us with our words, our thoughts, and our actions. Help us be open to receiving other perspectives, feedback. Lord, help us have peace at times of disagreement. Lord, this is a very political and tense time. And as business owners, we need to know that customers are entering in a new space of feedback and approach. And if we focus on the fact that they're coming off entitled or aggressive, it may cause us to put the walls up. So help us receive this news and this feedback and help us use it to make our companies better. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So on that last line of thought from your prayer, I can think back to a time pre-COVID where we had some valid complaints or valid customer concerns, right? And it was a little easier to kind of filter through what was actually like going on. We went through a period of time in COVID where it was just a bunch of angry people. It was just a lot of noise. It was a lot harder to kind of filter through what's real complaints and what's just someone, being an angry person because of the things going on in the world around them. And I think we're slowly swinging back into a time where we can kind of filter through that a little bit easier, right? So positive feedback is validation, right? We all love that. Rah, rah, woo, yeah, 5-star review. But negative feedback becomes the gold that kind of propels the company forward. So Doug, I know you pay someone to help you guys implement EOS. That's a consultant for your company. It's not a small chunk of change, but a worthwhile chunk of change to pay a consultant, right?
We haven't. I'd like it.
Oh, you want to.
You're mixing up my wants with
Fair enough.
Not yet. I am the EOS implementer.
So the company that I work for, we do pay an integrator.
Nice.
Either way, you're paying for this consulting, right?
Yeah.
Imagine free consulting. If you shift your mindset about customer complaints, you're getting free consultation. You don't have to pay for it. You're getting free consultation on how to improve your company. If you can filter through the noise, if you can filter, because in every complaint, there is stuff that's just emotional reaction, but then there's reality, there's truth within those reactions. So imagine being able to have this consultant, your customer, give you some free advice to improve your company. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
You have to create a space, though, Zach, for that type of feedback. You have to make sure you're available. Waiting a week to get back to a customer that's been trying to reach you about an issue, you're already in the hole there. You're already having to apologize for taking a week to get back. But can you imagine a fast response with an open-minded, tell me about your experience? And, Dean Landers, a long time ago, gave me and probably others this same question that we should ask customers. Help me understand what we've done wrong. It helps them stay on track as they try to bring in everything under the sun. And I just, back then, in whatever that was, 2016 or 15, I just started to have a notebook out when the customer's on the phone and not try to react, respond, and I just write everything down. And then I put a little star next to everything that we did wrong. And often, Zach, they're complaining about 3 things, and I have 11 or 5 or 10 things, things that the customer didn't bother them.
Yeah.
Like, so you're supposed to call, and all of a sudden my front door is being knocked on, and your guy's there. He didn't even call, and he's on his way. They're just bringing that up as a matter of fact, but not as one of their frustrations. And I'm writing that down. I'm like, what the heck? That was a promise that we made.
Right.
We made a promise that we would call when we're on the way. So subconsciously, the customer doesn't even already realize those little broken promises that aren't even hitting their radar are developing a tension inside of them. And they need to let it all out. So you need to just listen and write it down.
Yep.
Well, that's a step 1 for me.
Well, and that goes to what I talk about. It's very hard to be an operator on the road.
Right.
It makes it harder to receive that feedback. You do have to train your team to be able to listen to that. But then you still have to be able to respond in a timely manner. When you're out running service calls, it's extremely hard to accomplish that. And so I always encourage anyone, get off the road if you can, as fast as you can, or make sure you have someone that is absolutely dedicated and empowered to handling those customer complaints, because it has to be filtered through, it has to be listened to, and then some action steps need to happen.
Right.
Yeah, see, that's I mean, that mindset, there and we've gone through both extremes, right? We've gone through, customers absolute idiot, who cares, to customer is always right. The truth is in the middle, right? We got to find that middle ground, and that's shifting shifting that mindset. So don't, as you're tracking this stuff, make sure you're not just tracking the positive, but you're also getting and actively looking for the friction points, because otherwise you won't see the danger points, right? So, there's some people that word it, if you've been happy, give us a 5-star review. You're discouraging the people who have valid complaints and valid criticisms that can help your company to not give you feedback. So find a way to really truly ask for that pure feedback, whether it's an email, a phone call, whatever.
Well, I think well, firstly, Andrew, I had to Google that really quickly because I think I was like 10 in the 90s, so I didn't know what a comment box was, but I get it now. Yeah. I think even being more bold and saying, your feedback is important to us, and asking them, what would you do differently if you ran Action Appliance? Yeah. That's opening the gamut, not to just negative experience, but you're now collecting from your secret shoppers, your loyal customers. What would you like to see that we're not doing? And now you're really hitting the source, instead of, you can read a book, successful business person who came up with a sort of a neat way of reaching it, getting a new creative way of servicing customers. But we have our own database. It's our very own customers, right? So, yep. And it's funny how it's about mindset. You and I know that, Zach, 100%, right? So like, when we used to have weekend service on call, and that was back when Andrew was in diapers. No, there isn't it's not something we can do any longer. But it's funny when a customer calls me I'm speaking to a customer, and they say, the text said he was going to come out on Saturday or Sunday. And because that's so ludicrous and ridiculous, my response to their comment can come off like, yeah, okay, man. Like, we haven't done that since 1995. So I'm pretty sure my tech
Right.
didn't say that. Now, that's not what I'm saying, but that's what I'm thinking in my mindset. And everything that I say, even on a phone, the tone is going to be sort of disrespectful, or doubting them. And that's just shutting the door in our conversation back and forth. So we have to be careful not to shoot people down with their thoughts. And again, that's an example of low hanging fruit, because we know that there's a whole bunch of stuff in between the gray area where your employees said this. Well, maybe it was interpreted wrong, right? So we have to look at it like we're a judge. Put your robe on. Put your robe on and listen to it and ask great questions from a neutral party perspective to try to get the facts. The customer can sense that neutral tone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is such an important thing to figure out how to accomplish. And I think the best way to begin to shift this mindset, and we'll talk about it more later, but don't take it personal. You really have to go from that neutral, that kind of neutral point. Um, are you widening where you're listening from?
Mm.
So if you're only collecting it from phone calls or you're only collecting it from your Google reviews, there's other areas where customers are talking. Are you paying attention there? Are you paying attention on Nextdoor? Are you paying attention on social media? Do you have some system in place to be able to listen in all these different areas and really gather that most neutral opinion? If you don't, it's something worth looking into implementing. Because a lot of times, being a person who doesn't like conflict, if you're going to go somewhere where it's not going to be conflict, but you can voice your opinion. So if it feels like there's going to be a place of conflict, there's a large percentage of the population that will veer away from that. And if you're not actively seeking it, you'll never know what's going on.
That is true. That is true. You have a program or a subscription to Send It Out cards where you can just send a greeting card out, personalized, and it'll be printed in handwritten type form, all that stuff. I love sending feedback after, especially when genuinely we made a change to our procedure or our script because of the feedback that they gave.
Mhm.
And it just comes from me. I mean, it is a computer printing.
Yeah.
Because I have terrible handwriting, so they don't know that. But
Yeah, you don't want to see my chicken scratch on a card.
that's right. That's right. But and a lot of times, we have a leadership meeting once a week where we hone down things that we could change. But if I know it's something we have to fix right away, I'll fix it and send that card out. Talk about partnership with your customers, right?
Yeah, actively, and that's another piece we'll talk about later as well, is closing that loop and letting the customers know that you've actually taken care of the problem. One of the last pieces in changing the mindset is the 5 whys. Ask your team multiple times after you've identified a customer problem, why? Get past the symptom and get to the root cause of what's going on, right? Why didn't we call the customer before we showed up on the doorstep, right? And you got to ask that multiple times. Maybe it was a software thing. Maybe the notification did go, but the service was bad. And so it arrived to the customer 8 hours after the technician was there. You really got to keep asking why until you can get to what is truly causing the issue, instead of just that top level symptom, the thing that's showing on the surface.
Right.
So it's important.
Let's think about this too, by the way. It's more mindset stuff. If you're a customer and you've had a home service company come to your house, doesn't matter what it is, are you really going to give real feedback? Because they know where you live.
Yep.
Right. So I do find a lot of hesitation with customers in sharing what they're really feeling. Sometimes they're looking for something and they're trying to not get the real truth out there. So sometimes the customer is bold enough to just say, hey, listen, the guy's 6'1". He knows where I live. He was completely wrong, but I don't want him to know how that it was me that did this. So I've begun to just adapt a process of feedback is delayed to my technicians.
Mm-hmm.
Early on, I would even send the recording of my response or my conversation with the customer to the technician so that they could hear how an innocent misunderstanding or a sloppy little detail that they didn't do caused this overblown, exaggerated problem. But I didn't do that for long, but I did stop for a while, Zach. And it was a transition. It was a transition of I'll be honest, not being honest, telling the customer that this is how I do it in order to protect, themselves from any fear or concern. And that usually let their guard down, but yet I would still at times bring it up, but I don't now.
Yeah.
I put it aside for a couple weeks and then I bring it up in general terms. And the techs sometimes want to know, and I'll thank them for their passion. They want to know, like, who was it? Because there's no way that, and I'm like, listen, they are right from their own perspective. Everyone is right from their own perspective. The question is what are you going? It doesn't matter who it was.
Right.
I wouldn't do this to you unless it was feedback that should be processed. So here's the deal. Let's talk about it. And it takes them a little while to get off of who and get into the what and the why. And then when we do at the end, if my techs or my employees are just dead set against it and think that it won't happen again, there's a common line that I say in our company that everybody knows: flush it. I know, flush it, Doug. And I go, yeah, flush it. Hey, we're brainstorming here. If you feel like you've done and said this 1,000 times before and had no problems, I'm bringing it to you because I think it's something that I would change. But if you want to keep it as it is, listen, you flush it so the rest of your day isn't terrible.
Yeah.
Don't let this eat you up, but I will remember. And if it happens again, then I need you to commit a little more than where you're currently at, saying this is a one and done type thing.
Yep.
Because I want them to trust my instincts, my intuition, but sometimes I'm willing to go for a ride with the technician for a little while, or the employee.
Well, and that's a great transition into what is our role as leaders in all of this, right? And the first thing, and probably the hardest thing to do for most owners, most operators, separating yourself from the feedback. You can't take it personal. You absolutely cannot take the feedback personal. It is against your company, yes. However, it is not a personal attack on you. It's not a personal attack on the technician or the CSR or whoever. It's the customer creating feedback for you from their experience, and you might have just a little tweak in your process that has to change to improve things.
Or not, Zach. That's your job as a leader to say, okay, so we do that thing 700 times a week, and this is happening every 3 months. Do I make a tweak to retrain, to redirect for something like that? Probably not. But you kind of have to weigh out the measurements there on that. So.
Yep. Yeah.
But
so
when you use the word tweak, though, I thought you were going where where a customer gives you some feedback and you've heard worse, but for some reason they know your kryptonite and they say something that just tweaks you, and it's a never win situation. Once you've been tweaked, if you respond and embrace that, if you put kindling on that little tweak, whoo, it's going to turn into a fire, right? So that's why if it feels good to say in the time of conflict, don't even go there. Don't bother. Because our goal here is to have a win-win situation and you're on opposing sides. So win-win here is a compromise. It's acknowledging their right from their own perspective. If you get something out of it that can make your processes or your business better, you better thank them for it. Even though they trashed your logo and said that the wrench looks like a male genital, whatever. No, that never happened to us. We don't have that. But whatever weird thing comes out of people's mouths when they're emotional and they're upset, you just can't take it personally.
And that's exactly what I mean by tweak, right? You got to find that compromise, and it might just be a very small pivot. It might be in your tone. It might be in your communication. It might be whatever. It could be nothing, but nothing means acknowledging the customer and their feedback, right? It's these small things that add up over time. It's not like big sweeping changes. And Andrew, I can't imagine how to not take it personally. Easy, one of my biggest flaws. You are not alone. This is the hardest practice, and that's why it is the first practice, is separating it from yourself. It's the hardest thing to do, but it's the most important thing to do, is to not take it personal, to find that neutral ground. So yeah, you're not alone, man. You're absolutely not alone.
Look at Zach. He's feeling good. Now, I'll tell you something, Andrew. One of Zach's most favorite books can help you. Now, no book or any message, it often doesn't just change the way you're wired. Like, for instance, Andrew is just an incredibly humbly proud business owner. Like, the guy has been just leveling up year after year because he was wired that way. And so he's freaking intense with taking care of the customer. I can remember when he worked for someone else, and if he felt like the customer wasn't getting 100%, he would feel like it's an injustice and want to, take care of the customer. And he probably did. And then other times he probably did stuff he wasn't supposed to and go above and beyond, and probably had a couple arguments with the owner. That's his superpower, but it's a double-edged sword. And it might be, Andrew, that eventually you'll have to find someone in your company to do that job. Right person, right seat. Mm-hmm. Because if hearing that feedback drains you, then that's not something you can sustain long-term, right? So 6 Working Geniuses, that might be one of your frustrations, Andrew. And so you know what? You hand that off to someone else that can take the feedback, filter it, and then give you the good stuff that you can make better.
Yeah, and so that was in my encouragement. Like,
oh, by the way, the book is Zach's favorite book is called The 4 Agreements.
The poster of
Be impeccable with your word. Do not take anything personally. Assume the best of others, and remember, every day, just do your best. And it's going to be different each and every day. But that bullet point number 2, it's a very anti-Chicagoan thing, which is to not take things personally.
Highly suggest the poster. No, but so that was my point. Like, get someone in that position. If you're on the road, get someone who can really handle that feedback and empower them. Be the leader, empower them. How many times have we heard, I need to speak to the owner? Well, listen, this is my responsibility. I have the power to make the change. Help me help you. Let's go through this. Make sure that person, whoever it is empowered to take that feedback, to filter the feedback, and then pass the changes that need to the owner, and then have those changes filter through the company. his favorite poster is the 4 agreements. That's all you need is the poster, the 4 agreements.
The right answer, Saul, is the Holy Bible, God's word, living and breathing, speaking to us each and every day. I know you know that, Saul. That was a trick question from Saul.
So we got to break down the feedback in silos. Which part of the process broke down? So as you're taking your notes, whoever it is taking the notes. Is it in the intake process with the CSRs? Is it in the communication in the meantime while the customer is waiting for the service call? Is it at the service call? Is it the follow-up after the service call? Where in the process did this customer experience it, or did they experience it in all the silos and then put each of the complaints in their individual silos? So the hardest part is identifying what part of your processes do you have, and then when you're taking the feedback, making sure each of the complaints is appropriately put into the correct silo, the correct bucket, right?
And from the EOS traction world, you would pass that on to the person responsible for that area of the business. You would pass that on to whoever is responsible for that area. So if it was a scripting CSR issue, you'd hand that off to whoever is responsible for that. You might say, well, no one is responsible for that. Well, if you have an office staff person and right now you find yourself wearing all the hats and you don't want to, this is a great way to begin to give ownership of making changes to your business.
Mm-hmm.
So someone in your office, if they're capable, say, hey, I had this feedback today. Can you look over everything that we say and do? And can you pass along some recommendations well, first off, should we make a change? Mm-hmm. Could this problem happen again tomorrow or next week or next year? And if so, what changes would we want to make? And then the third question is, especially if it's a bit of a change, if it's some work to it, or you're making changes every single day, every other day, trust me, your team is going to get tired of a new script, a new approach, a new rule. So you have to, after deciding, what you might want to do, you have to say, is this worth it? Is this something that will make us better and make a difference? And if so, you have them implement it. And then there's that ownership that starts to happen. So again, from EOS traction, you get to remove the hat of, some of that CSR office administrative duty. And you get to see if that person that works for you has the ability and the mindset and the big picture level to take it, fix it, own it, and incorporate it in the change. It's a real fun thing to do, is to take issues and problems and assign them out to people who naturally should fit in that spot, unless they're already there. So if you're a micromanaging business owner and you're pissing everybody off because you're dipping into their departments, just let it go, man. See what they'll come up with. And they may come to you with an idea that needs a tweak. Thank them for what they did, teach them where it needed to be tweaked, and see if they'll learn. Go, oh, I got it. Now you've just moved them up 10 feet higher from the weeds, and you're now developing a leader through the issues and feedback that you get from your customers.
Yeah, I mean, it's right into the next point. You want to prioritize the impact. So whoever it's been delegated to, you need to take the most negative thing, the highest impact negative item that takes the lowest effort to resolve, and make sure that's prioritized first and that process gets fixed. And then down the line, you got to have whoever is in charge of it. If there's multiple complaints within that silo that we just talked about, have them prioritize that order of wins. You want to make sure that you get the easiest thing fixed. Hopefully it's the one that has the most negative impact.
Look at Andrew, so many tweaks. It's not that bad. It really isn't. But I mean, just get back to something I was just saying, because I remember this is so great too. We have weekly tech meetings. This happened a few years ago. Managing their parts, especially customer parts that need to be returned. Man, it's a big deal for us. I mean, they don't come to our office very often, so they have to manage it well. And you bring it up to the tech team to try to figure out, remind them of how important it is and what's going to happen if they don't. And there's always a couple guys that just talk a lot, man. And they're always giving you reasons and excuses. And so I remember just assigning them as like a committee, these two guys. You figure it out. And I'm not going to figure it out for you, but I'm going to tell you have a budget. If it's containers for the van, if it's one of those patio cushion lock boxes for each of your houses, you come up with a great idea, and then I will give you credit, and I will bonus you, and I will purchase reasonably what you submit. Those guys just never came back to me. Another guy's complaining about uniforms. He wants more quality material and this and that. I said, the design. I'm like, go ahead. Repeatedly, just bringing it up. Hand it off to people. Feedback. Give it. What would you do differently? And now you get to see. Now, if you see employees going, okay, give me a couple of weeks and I'll do it, and they do it, you're seeing future leaders that come from it.
Well, and that heads into the next point. You want to replicate the successes, right? So if they actually do come back to you with the feedback, then you need to honor that feedback and implement that system and reward that system and make sure that those changes and that creativity continues to come in the company. If they come back to you with something and a way to fix a problem, issue in your company, fix it, implement it. Don't just, well, that's not how we do it, and we're just not going to do it that way. You delegated it to them. You signed it to them.
Yeah.
Implement it. Honor what they said.
It's awesome.
And make it happen. I might be a little salty on that one. I'm going through that right now. But you have to.
Salty? No.
I'm an honorary salty Canadian. Bestowed upon me by the saltiest of Canadians. No, but really, you just if someone comes with a solution or a customer comes with this problem and get it, correct it, implement it, take that feedback and actually do something with it, instead of just filing it in the bin and moving on to the next thing. You got to actually take some action.
Yep.
We got Sean. He's doing his continuing education units over there at Vulcan by watching the podcast. Make a positive impact.
That's right.
Adequately responding to positive changes can be tricky. Yeah, it can be. Sometimes it's actually just doing the thing, right? If in Doug's example, if the guys who talked about the containers come back and they find containers and they find this thing that works and they prove this thing that works, all Doug has to do is implement it across the board. That's it. But if they don't come to him with it, then it probably wasn't something that was going to work. But if they do, it's on Doug as the leader to go, great, thank you, let's do it, here we go, and make it happen. It's a small thing, right? Like actually acknowledging, hey, great idea, you came to me with it, it's within the boundaries of what we decided, cool, here we go, we're going to run with it, let's make it happen. It's really not that hard. It can seem like it, but it's not.
And again, in a world of I don't know, man, giving feedback is the new rage. Everybody just vomits up what they're feeling in the moment. from every corner of our country and probably around the world. This is the new trend. And these hard swinging pendulums of, working hard to get people to even share what they feel, and now you can't get them to shut up, and they're so rude and disrespectful, and they go on Facebook and Google and they slander the hell out of you. It's this crazy pendulum swinging back and forth, and what we can't do is succumb to it and then shut down and not receive that information. We have to be able to take it and not make it personally, for sure, because that feedback is critical, as you're saying.
So that heads into our closing here, the non-negotiable step of closing the loop, right? So the final step is to reach out to the customer who complained and tell them, hey, we heard you, we fixed it. Thank you. You talked about, you have that Cardly that you send out, and you're able to actually close the loop with that customer. If it's a technician, because by Dean Lander's definition, our employees are our customers as well.
That's right.
It's buying the dang parts bins and putting it on the truck and acknowledging them at the meeting. Hey, this was a great idea. We've implemented it across the company. So and so, came up with this idea. Thank you. Round of applause. Close the loop. Let them know that you heard them. Let them know that it's implemented. Let them know that it's happening and it's going forward. Then that pendulum swing isn't so violent, because it's like, oh,
yeah,
they actually heard me. All right.
Yeah, I brought it up exactly. So you kind of made that point, is that we no matter how extreme it is, we have to respond the same way, because we already know that customers and employees feel honored and respected when their feedback is heard. I mean, like right now, although I was reading in the book of Mark about the end times coming, and how I should not be worried, and I shouldn't be focused on what's going on, and just seek him, right? And be not afraid, and be at peace. If I could just get one person to see, our president the way I see it, I would be so happy for at least a day. But I mean, why do we go and persevere so? I would be. I would. Why do we pursue so hard to get people to accept our way, our feelings, and our opinions? I mean, again, these hard pendulums make it hard. So I think shocking a customer by acknowledging everything that's wrong and this is what we do. I mean, I do mentioning a couple other things. By the way, ma'am, I was taking notes, sir, and a couple things that I wish we had done better. And what happens there is, first they're incredibly critical of the technician. And then I'm like just adding a couple more things, just showing them that the bar is set high here. And they're like, well, hold on. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. It's not his fault. And I'm like, sir, it's not about fault here. It's about hearing where we can be different and better, because you would agree your experience wasn't as good as you'd like. That's right. So we're all students here. And I'm going to take this information. I'm going to put it on the corner of my desk. I'm going to give it about a week or two. And I'm going to decide if I want to bring it up to the whole team, not you, sir, not your specific example, but of what you experienced. And if we can move the needle and make our team better, I am grateful to you for being, bold and polite and professional about sharing that feedback. And now I get a couple Christmas cards from those customers, so I think they feel like they have stock in the business at this point, because they helped us overcome problems that we already figured out, but it's just employees not doing their damn job. So I have killed those 2 employees. But anyway.
Yeah. And that heads into the loyalty payoff, right? Like that's the customers who have a problem and it's quickly resolved, it's thoroughly resolved, they become stronger, more loyal advocates. They become the best marketing you could possibly have, because you solve that problem. Our 5-star customers tend to never call us again, where our customers who had an issue and we took care of it and we listened to them and they feel like they were a part of the process in making our company better, they share it with the world and they make sure the world knows that we're the best company out there. And they're always going to call us for service, no matter what it is, right? And so that's the payoff that happens when we actually let the customers know, hey,
right.
You helped us solve a problem. We implemented it. You're the best. Thank you for being a customer. Thank you for giving us a chance to make it right. And now we have someone who's out there marketing, and we didn't have to pay for it. We had to pay with a little bit of our pride, a little bit of our ego, but we put that aside, and we were able to gain a customer through that. And then we have accountability, holding ourselves as well as the team accountable. We have to make sure that these fixes actually get implemented, actually get used on a day-to-day basis if we're going to put it in, because if we don't take the action steps, if we don't take accountability on it, what was the point of all of it? It just leaves us frustrated, and then we end up taking it personally, right? So we have to actually take some action steps, take some accountability at the end, and move on, So Saul, if you listen close enough, Doug rants probably as much as I do, if not more.
Why do you sound like my wife right now? She does not have a beard, though.
Happens.
All right, I have to go. I have tech interviews today. Oh my goodness, everything's flying at 100 miles an hour, and I'm just hanging on for the ride. Well, have a great week, everyone.
Yeah. ServiceAllianceGroup.com. Join us, become an all-access member. Next mastermind is on this topic of improving the customer experience with TK, October 18th. So make sure you join us at ServiceAllianceGroup.com. And Doug and I will see you next time on The Morning Grind. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to The Morning Grind podcast by Service Alliance Group. Subscribe to our channel and make sure you visit our website at ServiceAllianceGroup.com for appliance repair business resources.